This is a General Electric Mark I boiling water reactor pressure vessel. As evidenced at Fukushima, design flaws exist that led to 3 reactors of this design suffering various degrees of core meltdown. These meltdowns would have been prevented if 3 redundant heat exchanger backup cooling systems had been available. Doubtless this fact has not escaped the operators and governments controlling these reactors, and these upgrades to the backup cooling systems are likely being installed. Still, the possibility of a core meltdown at any reactor of this type will always exist. A design oversight inherent to this reactor and many other reactor designs can easily and inexpensively be rectified, with the simple modification presented here, that will greatly reduce the severity of a core meltdown if it occurs, and the amount of radioisotopes released. With this modification installed, it may be possible to repair the reactor, and have it operational again, in as little as 2 weeks. Here is the area of the design flaw. The control rod guide tube design is flawed. The tubes only serve one purpose, as guides for the control rods. This area can easily and inexpensively be converted into a core catcher and core spreader. Search the internet for hafnium diboride wool. One example is www.americanelements.com/boron-carbide-wool.html. Hafnium diboride is a potent neutron absorber that can stand up to the heat and action of a molten nuclear reactor core without any damage or degradation. Made into wool or foam, it contains 80 to 90% empty space inside. Consider a drop of water on a dry sponge. The water will expand throughout the sponge to the maximum possible volume. An identical reaction will occur if the molten reactor core material, cerium, contacts hafnium diboride wool. This action is identical to that of molten lead solder on copper desoldering braid. This is hafnium diboride wool, sandwiched between 2 thin hafnium diboride control rod guide plates. Note the offset control rod guide hole alignment when 2 units are stacked together with 1 unit flipped over 180 degrees. This is also hafnium diboride wool, sandwiched between 2 thin hafnium diboride control rod guide plates. To perform the modification, first remove the reactor core. Install the base piece of preformed hafnium diboride wool. Install a hafnium diboride sleeve. Install a preformed grid section of hafnium diboride wool. Install another, rotated 180 degrees from the first. Install the remainder, and orient each one, 180 degrees from the previous. Reinstall the reactor core, and check for proper operation of the control rods. Install the fuel assemblies. The modification is complete. If a meltdown occurs, the cerium will become rarefied as it expands throughout the hafnium diboride pile, and becomes subject to a very large neutron absorber potential, which will end any criticality still occurring within the cerium. It may be desirable to have a pair of preheated tanks of boron trioxide available, to inject into the hafnium diboride pile in case of a meltdown, to serve as an excellent flux, and as a further neutron absorbing agent. Injecting enough boron trioxide to completely cover the fuel assembly may be desirable. The boiling point of boron trioxide is higher than molten cerium, and its action as a neutron absorber would likely kill off any criticality still occurring inside the fuel assemblies. If an entire spare reactor pressure vessel assembly and a heavy lifting crane are available, the destroyed core could be removed and replaced, and the reactor operational again in as little as 2 weeks, as long as the wet well isotope filtering system has not been damaged, and the fission product isotopes are collected and removed. The Vocaloid background music is provided by Iroha. Meltdown, featuring Rin Kagamine.